everything. The people, the attitude of the city. You know, it's interesting to see that. My dad lived around here for a long time, and he used to talk about Fort Collins as the town with the narrow minds and the wide streets. How wrong that is. As we see expansion going on both north and south and Midtown and everything going on as it was 30 years ago when I was doing this, you can't help but see it as a really delightful place to be. Plenty of jobs most of the time, and a good attitude. I don't like to use the word, but I think it's a little more liberal. In the days that I was here, the town was kind of run by all the white guys that were in their 40s and 50s and were connected to the business community, and just didn't really represent the community. I think now the council does represent the community more, even though I don't agree with a number of the things they do. There was an active vote of the people, a pro or anti-growth thing came forward the year before I was mayor and was defeated. And I think managed growth is really what the city needs and wants and has always wanted. We can't stop growth, we can only manage it. And as you look at this beautiful city, gosh, the development that's happening on the north end, the things that Ron Lotzenheiser and his group are doing up there, the redevelopment of the mall, all the things that we seem to be doing, they're kind of the same things we were doing 30 years ago, but we finally completed some of them and are coming up with new ideas and new things that need to be done. It's a very forward-thinking community, there's no doubt about it. Oh gosh, I gotta say, signing the documentation on Anheuser-Busch Brewery, I was mayor during the time that we got that approved, and I negotiated along with John Arnold the various agreements, intergovernmental agreements that were needed. And well, Anheuser-Busch was looking for a location in Colorado. They liked this part of the world because we had major rail lines going north and south, and we're right between two interstates. It made it, when you ship the product in its most heavy state, transportation's big. We came up with some things to use their spent grains for feeding cattle. We used water that the city owned from Windy Gap. They'd planned on using it to cool the rawhide power plant. They then did an inverted weir, they called it, to cool the water in another way. And the result was that water could then be made available to Anheuser-Busch too. So a number of those kinds of things. Just we waived some of the building requirements, inspection requirements, because we visited one of their breweries and found that they actually did a much better job in that regard than we did. They exceeded our standards. So that saved some effort on their part in meeting the need of the company. Had a good labor force here, stable labor force, the university and all that it brought, all the changes we had to make, exceptions we had to make to various rules in order to satisfy the organization. And gosh, look what it is now and what it's been to this community. It's tremendous. Well, the brewery itself was controversial, and so was Rawhide Power Plant. People that thought it was going to do too much damage visually to the community and that sort of thing when we built the plant. I think that was probably the biggest one. And then a certain number of people are opposed to drinking, and certain groups were, and thought that the brewery coming here would somehow change the nature of how much we consumed. In reality, people are going to buy beer either way, so it doesn't matter where it's bottled in that respect. Hecklers. I always look forward to the citizen input hour because I love to tell the story. I was transferred to Boulder and was used to the group of people that always showed up to discuss things at our meeting here. Got to Boulder just for the dickens. I went down and went to one of their council meetings. Not only were the same things being said, but they were being said by the same people who now claimed they lived in Boulder. So that's a challenge, to get around those things without letting your own thoughts get too dominant and insulting people and creating problems. One of the specific things that was difficult for us was the interchange for Anheuser-Busch. That wasn't planned by the highway department. There was no funding for it, so it had to go through a series of things that a lot of government involvement to get that interchange done. But we were able to do that. I think another fond memory was the development of the land development guidance system. Received a lot of national awards for the intersection at Drake and LeMay. High-end residential in one corner, manufacturing, Woodward Governor on one corner, Scotch Pines Shopping Center, and a large and beautiful church with a lot of nice grounds. Showed that all those things could coexist and make it work, and cut down vehicle miles and improve a lot of things in the community. So developing that and receiving some national awards for our planning department for that was very important to me. I think some of the things that we've just talked about, there's a lot of things that happened during that period of time. The Platte River Power Authority, the Rawhide Power Plant, the development of the Downtown Development Authority, completion and opening of Roland Moore Park, which is a tremendously important thing. Transport, open space and trails, of course, has come a long ways. I think a lot of it is having forward-thinking people, and we haven't always had those in town. We've had folks that don't spend another dime on a trail, kind of mentality. I think we have, in many cases, stretched a little too far in what we've done. I think we've acquired too much land that we don't know what we're going to do with. Lincoln said to not confuse change with progress. We've had plenty of change, but everything hasn't always been progress. I think an important thing would be to know your facts. Too many times we say something because we heard it somewhere and we haven't verified whether it's correct or not. And many times, I thought in the past, made decisions without knowing the facts. So I think it's really important that that happen, and as people bring ideas forward, think of the impact that it has on everybody. Well, we've got a wonderful climate. We've got broad, beautiful streets. We've got everything you could ask for in the community. We, as you know, have been named as a #1 retirement community a couple of times, and all those attractive things are there. The secret is that we can't let people's biases help us to make the wrong decision in that regard. We have to be sure that we elect leadership that doesn't have biases against some of the things that we need to get done. Look at when I was mayor versus today, it's just an amazing amount of progress that has been made. And, I hope that we'll see improved town and gown relations with the university. I think the university's done some wonderful things since Tony Frank's been president over there. Well, one thing I think we have to do is not overdevelop. That's been something that's happened in a number of Front Range communities where, they hear about a company coming to town that's going to have 100 employees, so 10 different builders build 100 houses and 10 different banks finance them, and all of a sudden you've got a tremendous oversupply, and the economy just does that. And a stable economy is really critical.